Welcome to Sabot Astrology, and today we're going to dive into the astrology of Caitlin Clark. So let's get into it. If you haven't seen the latest video on Angel Reese and her astrology, visit this page or go to Sabot Astrology on YouTube. Caitlin Elizabeth Clark is an American professional basketball player for the WNBA, the Women's National Basketball Association. She's played basketball in college for the Iowa Hawkeyes, and she has pretty outstanding history and career starting in high school, where she had really high stats, and this made her work really popularized women's basketball. Some people call this trend the Caitlin Clark effect, which is a term that is coined for her work that she's done in basketball to rise viewership and interest in women's basketball. For my understanding and hearing people's stories and understanding of basketball, I'm not a basketball pro, I'm not a sports pro or a journalist in any way, shape, or form, but I am always curious as I'm watching the game and learning more about the game of the history and development of women's in basketball. And it hasn't been a very long story. There's a lot to develop and still to grow and evolve. But I believe that it is at its pivotal point right now with Caitlin Clark and also with Angel Reese. And again, I recommend watching the mini video that I did about her and some questions that I had. And as I'm exploring and learning more about Caitlin, I start to really question a lot. But before we get into that, I do want to speak about her career now. In 2024, she was drafted first pick by the Indiana Fever, which is the team that she currently plays for. And a part of Clark's story that I found interesting was learning about her early childhood, learning about her maternal grandfather. I believe it was either from mother's side or father, who was a football coach and also administrator in their local high school. At the age of 5, she was competing in boys' recreational leagues, and her family couldn't find girl leagues at that time, especially for her age group. So that was a little bit of a challenge that I feel that shows up a little bit in her chart of fighting for exposure, fighting for women being in games, and not only women but boys and girls. And as I was watching and listening to commentaries made about Clark, she's held in high esteem. And I had a question if about her credibility. I had questions about her performances, which I feel as I'm learning more about her, I'm getting a gist of what she's all about and her career and where it can inform her evolution. But especially, I was wondering because she came into the league with open hands, right? There was open arms to her. There was opportunities given to her already that were lined up. And I was looking back at Angel Reese. I was looking back at other women basketball players and their trajectory when they arrived. And it wasn't that no one received the same treatment, but it's different. So I was wondering about that difference, and just questioning that. And it's always good to do that because it helps to put things into perspective and illuminate. So some of you might be wondering, well, Shayla, when are you going to get to her astrology? Let's get into that. Clark is in Aquarius. She has a Taurus moon and she has a very close stellium in Aquarius. And this brings me to think about ways that she shows up for not only herself and reading about how she speaks about the game and her legacy. It brings me to think about how this placement plays in her life, especially when she speaks about younger children and the inspiration she wants to bring into the league for other people to be also inspired, and how she has this ability to become viral from one day to another. And And this has been in her path for her to really bring and branch out and speak about not just about her successes, but the successes that can be for others. And I think this is important when she brings in the ideas of fundamental ideas of bringing people together, of playing, sharing the game, the ball with not only herself, but being a team player. And I think this is going to be something that she can evolve more into and that she's really bringing to the plate of the sports. She's teaching us how sportsmanship should be in regards to inspiration of the younger generations and the generations that are here now in the game. She also speaks about in a way I am getting that women in basketball has been undervalued or underrepresented, and her coming out and saying, hey, I'm bringing this effect, this trifecta, for people to see that women can be just as good as any other person in the field of basketball. Basketball has been dominated by men, and it becomes difficult when a platform has been dominated because people get used to those same qualities. But it's good to bring a different flavor. It's good to bring in a different perspective. And Caitlin Clark, as well as Angel Reese, are bringing that in. Here's an interesting quote that I found from Caitlin Clark. I'm all about growing the women's game, and I'm glad I've given something that little girls can scream about at the top of their lungs. I can imagine when I was younger, I was doing the exact same thing, watching on TV. It's pretty fun. So this reminds me again of her wanting to spread and really share this basketball experience and inspire others. And this is her Aquarian energy really playing a part and showing us the best ways of leaving a legacy of inspiring and evolving. And another quote that I found very interesting coming from Caitlin, I guess going forward, I've talked about this with my legacy. I don't want my legacy to be, oh, Caitlin won X amount of games or Caitlin scored X amount of points. I hope it's what I was able to do for the game of women's basketball. I hope it is the young boys and girls that are inspired to play the sport or dream to do whatever they want in their lives. And here's the last quote that I have for all of you. I want my legacy to be the impact that I can have on young kids and the people in the state of Iowa. I was just that young girl, so all of you have to do is dream, and you can be in moments like this. And wow, Clark, I completely was so inspired by these quotes, and I needed to share them with all of you. And if you notice from two quotes that out of the three, she mentions the word dream. And in that stellium that I was speaking about, all in Aquarius, she has Neptune in Aquarius. And Neptune is dreams. Neptune is the waters of higher consciousness, and she's bringing higher consciousness, and not in the ways that we think, right, of like meditating, but she's bringing higher consciousness at such a young age, from young girl, right, when she was a kid playing basketball at 5 years old, to us now at the age of 22 speaking on for people to dream. And she is that dream. You can be that dream, and she's helping people to realize and come to terms with that. And that's a Neptunian effect on her, where she's all about bringing that in, is about this energy. She also has, next to her Neptune, she has Venus in Aquarius, and that speaks of the equality for women, equality for all. And I hope that you all gain a lot of insight and understanding of Caitlin through, and see you in the next one. Con mucho, mucho sabor, sabor astrology. See you in the next one.